my good wishes for your trip tomorrow, Ajahn, and wishing very favorable conditions for lots of interest in Dhamma and appreciation of what is most precious in old age, on a birthday, and any time.
Yeah,
And
thank you very much.
We were just talking about sickness and ups and downs in life, so maybe you can give everyone your advice on the best way to grow old and have happy birthdays at such a great age. And because we never know what sickness, what mental issues, what is round the corner. And as you always remind us, actually life is just one moment now, or on a special day, or any time. So anyway, please share your advice for everyone.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you very much.
And does anyone have any topic they would like to bring up today? Anything they would like to discuss? Asita, please go ahead.
Okay, it's regarding the Mula Pariyaya Sutta, the root of existence. Now, what I don't quite understand is the uninstructed worldling perceives earth as earth. He then conceives himself as earth. He conceives himself in earth, conceives himself apart from earth, and conceives earth is mine. He delights in earth, and it goes through 18 more, water, fire, air, beings, gods, seeing, hearing. I don't quite get how does this earth present itself, and how does the worldling perceive earth as earth and then himself as earth? So I'd like an explanation. I'm trying to read the commentary on it, but it's still not quite clear to me how earth is perceived as earth. Is it like hardness?
It is hardness. It's Pathavi Dhatu, which is the characteristic of which is hardness. So even now, it's only hardness is touched. Like when touching the arm, it's only hardness, or when touching the book, it's only hardness. But so quickly it's taken for me, for my arm. I am taken for the hardness, or the hardness is taken for me. The hardness touched is taken for the book, but it's just hardness. So the mad person, the worldling, always takes the hardness for something, for someone, for my arm, my head, my sore foot, and so on. But it's just hardness that we find so important. And only the enlightened one no longer misconstrues the hardness for being something, for being someone. So no matter whether it's taken as the hardness is mine, or I'm inside the harness, or the harness is outside, it's all taken for, it's all ataditi, like we talked about last time. The asava is there so quickly, hardness is touched, but so quickly it's something there taken as belonging to me or someone or something. So this is the madness of the worldling.
Right. And so the same goes for all of the other elements that are mentioned in the book.
Exactly. Right. Like the heat when touching the cup or touching the leg. Just heat that is touched, but so quickly it's my cup, my leg, something there. I'm in that heat, but it's just heat. nothing there at all.
And it
Um,
also goes on, it goes through all the elements that we know of here, but then it goes on to the gods, the Brahma gods, the gods of refulgent beauty or whatever it's called, and even Nibbana as Nibbana, but it's not the real Nibbana, is it? It's taken for Nibbana, but it's obviously not, because it's still the worldling that's taking it incorrectly.
So when there's no understanding of the truth of different dhammas, when there's an idea of I, there's an idea of beings out there, there's the idea of other beings, other people, there's the idea of gods existing. Even when we read about the devas, it's so quickly someone, something, instead of understanding actually they're just different dhatus, different elements arising and falling away. And without the understanding of conditioned dhammas, how can there be even the wise consideration of the unconditioned element?
And so it goes goes through the main three is mana, no, clinging, clinging, mana and ditthi.
Right.
So they're the three main ones mentioned quite exclusively, really, in this book. It's really intense. It's taken me.
Manyana, the perversions of thinking, with clinging, with mana, and with ditthi. Yes.
Okay. And the other, look, I was listening to a recording from, I think it was 2004, and Achan was mentioning postures, the postures that we take cover up the rupa, cover up the earth, the hardness, because we take whatever posture we're in, it's like, this is my posture. I'm sitting, I'm standing. So it's basically the same sort of thing, isn't it?
It is, and people read about postures and think there should be understanding of postures. But actually, it is the rupas that are taken for being postures, just like it is the rupas that are taken for body that are to be understood. Because in truth, there's no body, there are no postures, there's no sitting, there's no standing. So people misread and think there should be understanding of sitting or standing, or they should sit for a very long time to understand dukkha, for example. It's all misunderstanding of the reality appearing now, the hardness now, as hardness, taking it for being something, for being a posture, and taking the posture covers up the truth about the rupas itself.
Okay,
and
well,
this is all day long. Oh, I think Jonathan's about to speak.
Okay.
Just a general comment on the use of conceives in that sutta. I think it starts by saying he perceives earth as earth, and then he conceives it in various ways. And this word conceives is a translation of the Pali manyana or manyati. And the commentaries explain that this is a reference to citta that is accompanied by craving, tanha, a conceit, mana, or wrong view, ditthi. So there are these ways of conceiving, but this expression covers these kinds of agusala, various kinds of agusala, including wrong view, but not exclusively wrong view. These three, tanha, mana, and ditthi, are called the three grips, gaha, and they feature in different contexts, part here as conceiving and also in other contexts. So it's a reference to not correctly understanding the way things are.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So just one other question. So that first comment you made, the worldling perceives earth,
Mm.
and then it goes on to conceive himself
Yes.
in earth. So
Yes.
could we say that an Aryan, an Aryan still perceives earth?
Well,
Would
he
it,
more than perceives because he understands.
he understands, but I'm
Yes.
thinking that just that jitter that experiences hardness, just that first moment, so perceives. Am I making sense to you? You know,
You said the Aryan, right?
the Aryan, yeah. Would the
Yeah. Well,
Aryan
that would have to
they
be
would
with
perceive?
understanding.
Yes, yes, of course.
But
Yeah.
the non-Aryan can also perceive earth without wrong view, with Kusala,
I
for
just
example. But it's not, there's no insight into the true nature.
right. Okay.
And Azita, if I'm not wrong, if I remember correctly, I think that sutta makes the distinction between the uninstructed worldling and the instructed worldling, the Kalyana Putujana. Does it?
Yes, it does.
Right.
Nice
So,
to hear you, Sukin. Great.
Yes, nice to hear you
Yeah,
again.
it's really nice.
Hi.
Yes, and so yes, it does, Sukin. It does distinguish between the two of them.
right. So what John was saying just now, that we could hear, and although there's conceiving, there can be understanding also. There are the uninstructed worldlings that would, if you ask them, is this hard? They would know that it's hard, but no understanding. And if you
No
talk
understand.
Dhamma to them, they wouldn't understand. While you, on the other hand, might have this conceiving, might experience this conceiving, but then understand that it's just Dhamma. So there's a difference between the uninstructed worldling and the instructed worldling.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It does. It's very, yeah. It's a great sutta. So yes, thank you, Sukin. Thank you, and Jonathan and Sarah. Thank you. That's actually made it a little bit more clear for me. Thank you.
Perhaps Jan would like to add more comments on this topic as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Are we talking about hardness?
Yes, Achan, we are.
So, what about it? It's a reality. It's there only when it's touched to be known. Otherwise, no way to realize the truth of hardness at all. That's all. Everything has to be realized, not just learn to know what is it. That's not enough. What is it? Where is it? When is it? It's to realize the truth of it. Otherwise, no eradication of the idea of self very deeply. In truth, it cannot be anyone or anything at all, just a reality. So learn to understand the nature of that, which is just there, very shortly and then gone. All has to be conditioned for realizing the truth, which is there all the time. But it's only right understanding which can begin to realize the ultimate truth. Actually, no window, no car, no soap, no water, no anything that we used to take it for something all the time. It's just one reality, which is hard. That's all.
Achan, I heard a discussion from quite a long time ago, and you mentioned, if I think I got it right, that that Iryapaka, which is the the postures cover up the hardness or something like that. I'm not sure if I heard it correctly. There was
So,
Iryapada and Santati.
yeah. So is it my body or is it hardness?
Well, it's hardness.
See,
Yeah, it's
who
hardness.
knows? Who knows? Because there must be the idea, my body, see,
Yes, yes, Ajahn.
take whatever is there as something. When it's touch, it's hard. When it smell, it's smell. See, no one at all. Just to understand the ultimate truth of that which is there by conditions, arising and falling away instantly, until that is firm enough to condition instantly what is there by conditions, see? Not by, we try to understand it, we try to know it for oneself, for me, but
Yes,
not understanding actually each word represents a reality which is there to be known as it's just there when it appears. That's all. So there must be the reality which experiences what is there through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Only 5 ways, 5 doorways to experience that which is there. Another one doorway is mind door. It does not see, it does not hear, but it can experience anything according to conditions. It cannot see, but it's there. Just experience that after the sense door. By conditions, the rapidity of the arising and falling away processes, sense door and mind door in life.
and it all happens so quickly that it can't be known when you first hear about it. It cannot be known. We must
That,
hear again and again and again.
that's why Buddha taught about the eye, the seeing, and that which is seen, and so on and on, more and more and more, deeper and deeper, the way it is conditioned from accumulation in the past, from karma in the past, what chati is, whether it is kusala or akusala, the cause, and whether it is the vipaka, all there, see, to understand the truth. A little more, not for oneself, but to understand the truth of life. No one.
And I think, by beginning to understand life as it is, beginning to understand about the realities, surely that must make it, well, not necessarily that I teach other people, but that there's less, possibly less anger with other people or less attachment. I mean, I'm not saying that's happening right now, but that must be the result eventually of developing the understanding of realities.
Only right understanding works its way. If it's nothing, just arise and fall away instantly, never to arise again, shall we get angry with this or that? It's gone forever, never arise again. So right understanding condition the wholesome moment, because it's the reality which understand the difference between kusla and akusla, the cause and the result in a day. Because all are dhammas, citta with cetasika, different kinds, and rupa, all gone.
Yes.
To
And
have
Zita,
yeah.
Sorry, Ajahn, just to add a brief
yes.
comment. Even if the understanding that's being developed didn't bring those results, those outcomes that you mentioned, it would still be worthwhile because it's understanding that's being developed.
Yes.
And that is what will bring the ultimate ending of dukkha.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jonathan. Very good.
Sorry for interrupting, Ajahn. Please go ahead.
That's what I would say.
Yes. Yes. Understanding is something to be worked towards, but there's no me working towards it. It's just by listening and contemplating what is heard, the understanding grows, I guess. But only, as it was once pointed out, understanding will only grow when understanding arises, not by thinking about it. Understanding has to grow, has to be there for understanding to grow. Are you still there, Ajahn? Can't hear you.
Yes, is it now growing?
I think intellectually it's certainly, there's certainly more understanding, but whether it's the actual, it's hard to say. I can't say, but I do think there is more understanding of the truth as I listen again and again.
No need to think, because at moment of understanding, it develops, it grows. So very gradually, no matter who knows or not.
Yes, yes, I can. And I think, wondering whether there's more understanding is just another moment of clinging.
So right
My
understanding. So right understanding knows clinging is there. Otherwise,
Yes.
it's not understanding.
Yes, yes, I can. Yes.
And it's back to the conceiving, taking the understanding, just like like the harness for being mine, or I'm part of the understanding. So
Right.
the Manyati comes in again. As soon as one starts thinking, is my understanding growing?
Yes.
And if it's wondering on a moment-to-moment basis, then I think one is missing the point, because it's subtle kusala and understanding isn't apparent anyway. But we have the simile of the adze handle to indicate that it can be known over a period of time, that understanding. So once that has been known, once it can be said, yes, over a period of time, the perception of the way things are now is much better than it was before, then one doesn't have to worry again about, am I developing understanding or not, because you know that it is developing. And even though the moments of development were never apparent, yet overall there has been development in the past, so must be doing something right.
Yes, yes. And look, I do see sometimes in the day, just out of the blue, some thoughts of the Dhamma will come, some memory of what I've heard or something. And it's always quite pleasing to have that happen, because then it reminds me, this is all there is. There's only ever now at this moment. The rest is a concept. There's only ever this moment. So yeah, good reminders. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะคุณซาร่าคุณจนาธาน I have a little point to make about understanding. I've been reminding many times from ท่านอาจารย์คุณ Sarah and Jonathan about working out to understand, because working out try too hard to understand, right? And I don't even know myself, I know it's self, right? But actually I don't know that it's myself who worked out. And as Kun Sarah kept reminding me many times, and I realized that, it's just Supason or me who try to work out to understand, even though I cannot, I'm not sure it's not understanding. I'm quite sure, because the word working out, right? Sound like attachment, I mean, greeting to know, greeting to learn. And even nowadays, I still like that, working out to understand this, understand that, because, in the past, as a language teacher, I have to understand first, right, before I teach other. And now I retire and study Dhamma, and I still got the Upanisai, trying to work out everything, not even, in learning, even in life, I'm working out very hard all the time, and talking about, in terms of Dhamma, I don't think it's a kind of understanding when I'm working out.
Well, first
am
of
I
all,
right?
there's nothing wrong with working out working things out in life generally, because it can be helpful, and it's not necessarily a kusala to try and work things out. It probably is, but that's not the point. The point is that working out in the mundane sense is nothing to do with developing understanding. So it's neutral in terms of whether of right or wrong view. However, when it comes to the Dhamma, things are different, because the understanding, the Dhamma is the path taught by the Buddha is a path of understanding the way things are. And understanding cannot be gained by working out in one's own way. The Dhamma is so radically different from anything conventional that the conventional approaches don't apply. And so it may help to recollect the recommendation or the factors that the Buddha mentioned as being relevant to the development of understanding. We know what they are: association with good friends, and hearing the true Dhamma, and reflecting on what has been heard. And these three things can be a condition for some level of understanding to occur. So but we forget so readily, because our inherent tendency is to try and work things out. But gradually, over time, one comes to appreciate that that is not the way, intellectually at first, but I think you'll find that over a period of time, you will have less inclination to try and work out things in the Dhamma sense. So don't worry about it.
Just want to understand. Well, not worried much, I mean, earlier, before Kun Sarah, Kun Jonathan, and Kun Sarah and Jonathan, say about this, I kind of worry a lot. that I understood what I heard or not. But nowadays it seems I'm relaxed. Never mind.
Good.
If I don't understand, I don't understand.
Right. Let things happen.
Correct.
Let things take their course naturally. Yeah.
Yes, I
Because
agree. I understand. Sorry, Jonathan.
No, you go ahead.
I understand what you're saying. I get it. Yeah. Relax.
Relax. That's the word.
Yeah.
Well, but sometimes relax, no?
Try and relax.
That's right. Try to relax. Try is my Upanisai, right? Have to try this, try that. Anyway, yeah, I'm
The self is there all the time, trying to relax, trying not to worry, trying to calculate whether there's more understanding,
and try to understand,
work out the meaning of the word, trying to plan for the future.
Exactly.
It's self all the time, thinking. But what about now? There can be understanding even now, because whilst thinking like that, understanding can arise. It's just a Dhamma. It's not my thinking. It's not my self. It's not my worry. Just different Dhammas arising and falling away. So understanding can happen even now, and understand that when lost in a story about the meaning of the word, or the story about whether there's more or less understanding than yesterday, there can be understanding. It's just thinking now. Just thinking, and like we found in the sutta, or like when we discuss the asanas, thinking usually often with the idea of I, trying to calculate, trying to get the answer for me. So there can be understanding as this moment, like when you said, oh, I'm not going to Phuket, I'm staying at home. Again, it's just thinking. It doesn't matter where one is. Seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, thinking is thinking. Kusala is kusala, akusala is akusala, anywhere, anytime. So it is only the understanding that leads to living more easily. And like it said in the sutta that Azita was referring to, why is there all this thinking about I, and thinking about calculating, catching the meaning and working out and this and that, and about people and places and so on, because not understanding the reality now. So this is the life of the worldling, and only after talking about the worldling, then it talks about the learner. The learner is the Aryan, the one who understands hardness as hardness, understands thinking as thinking, not belonging to anyone, but still many kinds of attachment, many kinds of mana, but no idea of I that can work it out, I that can plan a way.
Keep reminding me.
So understanding just develops, and as Ajahn always reminds us, it's so subtle, so more and more layers, more and more the kinds of attachment, clinging with idea of I to be understood deeper and deeper. But better to know, otherwise we just go on as usual, thinking that all the planning and the working out is somehow useful to the path, instead of just understanding what is now, what appears now.
Right. Yeah. And one more thing I would like to, mention, to tell the truth, is obviously that understanding developed, so I mean, slightly developed, and many times I got confused. I got confused, and I don't know I don't know the reality, Sarah, at the moment. It's like, well, the word you usually, raise was right, attachment, ignorant, which is true, but I don't know about it, Sarah. I want to work out what is attachment?
I wants to know so much. Clinging wants to know. Clinging wants to catch it. Clinging doesn't want to be confused. But confusion is confusion. Doubt is doubt. They're just dhammas that arise and pass away, not my confusion, my doubt. And yes, ignorance most of the day, not understanding, not knowing the reality. So what? Just the dhamma that arises and passes away. So the minding about it is just more clinging, wishing it to be another way, having dosa when it's like that. So just different dhammas to be understood, but in truth, none of them are mine. And what about seeing now? What about hearing now? What about thinking? Just thinking about the confusion or thinking about not knowing, clinging to knowing more all the time. So just dhammas to be understood now. And what about the hardness? Just hardness that's touched. So it's daily life. So no need to think or mind or worry whether it's a lot or a little understanding or more or less than yesterday, because this is just accumulating more and more clinging to self when it's like that. Yeah. No one can change it. No one can make it another way. If there's no understanding now, there's no understanding. If there's confusion, there's confusion. If there's seeing. Because each Dhamma now arises by conditions, not in anyone's control. No one to make understanding arise. No one to stop confusion arising. So there has to be the understanding with confidence that life has to be just the way it is at this moment. It can't be any other way. Otherwise, I is trying to change it all the time. And that hinders.
Is hinder, is a hinder.
It hinders, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see if Ajahn would like to add more to these comments too.
Everything is now.
Everything is now, Ajahn, but ignorance seem I don't know anything, there's a lot of ignorance. Even though Ajahn trying very hard,
Sure, because no one understands. No one understands. Only understanding itself understands. Otherwise, it's forgotten all the time. And I is there all the time.
Right. At the moment, there's hearing. I heard bird sound, bird singing.
Okay. So begin to have new habits.
Okay. And there's some, hardness. I touch, my hands, my hands are touching, and there's hardness. Okay. And why knowing hardness, I don't get confused. There's understanding of hardness, which understood. I'm sorry, I don't use the correct word. ค่ะเชิญท่านอาจารย์ค่ะ
Not I.
It's not I, it's understanding. ท่านอาจารย์ it understanding slowly developed, like seeing at the moment, hearing, and there's a vibration from the fan, behind me, that sort of thing. That what I sati arise and learn.
I'm on loose end.
ค่ะ sorry คุณ Jonathan, I cannot hear you. Hello. ค่ะ I'm sorry I cannot hear คุณจนาธานค่ะ
Carry on, Supatson. I think he forgot to turn his audio off. Carry on.
Well, just learning, studying what's happening now. As I said before, there's vibration, which is lupa. There's a hardness, when my feet touch the floor. There's hearing, birds singing, and knowing that this is my curiosity, my attachment, clinging, to know about this, to know about that. It's still I.
And it's the beginning of considering, but is it the understanding of hearing now, or just thinking that it must be hearing now? Is it really understanding of hardness appearing now, or just thinking, okay, there's not a fork or a leg, so it must be hardness? So it's just beginning to consider about the truth that it's just hardness appearing, or just hearing at the moment of hearing sound. Actually, no birds heard at all, but it has to develop more and more deeply to not just consider intellectually that there must be hearing at this moment, but to actually understand the characteristic of hearing now when it appears. Otherwise, it cannot be firm enough. There cannot be the confidence. So that's why there's bound to be a lot of confusion, a lot of doubt, and a lot of taking it for I. So the understanding has to develop naturally, but discussing, considering, reflecting, beginning to appreciate how much the idea of I is there, how deeply rooted it is essential in order for understanding to develop. But we shouldn't consider ourselves that now there's understanding of hearing and sound and hardness, when actually it's just thinking about it at this moment.
And Kuntala, could you elaborate the word characteristic of hardness? What do you mean by that?
So, like Azita was talking about the earth element, Pathavi Dhatu, so the characteristic, the nature of the Pathavi Dhatu is hardness. It's actually hardness that manifests, it's hardness that is experienced. And it's not just hardness at the moment of touching the hardness, but the characteristic of hardness can appear to understanding. So, like now, when there's understanding of hardness, it's always the nimitta of the characteristic of hardness, because countless hardnesses have been touched and arisen and fallen away. So it's not one hardness that is understood, but it's the nimitta, the sign of that, the characteristic of hardness, even though the hardness itself has arisen and fallen away. So we begin to appreciate that what is actually understood is always the nimitta, the sign of the reality.
Even though at the moment, you mean at this stage, it's a kind of thinking. I learned that it's nimitta, but I don't know nimitta yet. I mean, not I mean understanding. The understanding doesn't know the characteristic of nimitta. Just listening. Yeah.
The nimitta is the sign of the characteristic of the reality. So it's the nimitta of hardness, the nimitta of the hardness itself, the characteristic of hardness that appears. So we're not learning to understand nimitta, but the nimitta of the reality itself. because it has to be known by way of the nimitta. And yes, now there's thinking about, oh, it's hardness that is touched, or it's hearing that hears the sound. But the understanding can develop until it is the understanding of that characteristic itself by way of the nimitta. So it's deeper and deeper in order to let go of the idea of I or something, like in the sutta, to really understand hardness as hardness, hearing as hearing, touching as touching. Otherwise, it's bound to be my touching, my hearing, my leg, something all the time. So that's the point of discussion.
I know, but at this stage is my, my hearing, my touching, is it all right? Is it okay?
It's how it is. So good to know. It doesn't mean it's good to have the idea of my hearing, but it has to be like that. So better to know it and to begin to understand that there is this deep-seated idea that arises all the time. It's always my everything, my leg, my arm, my posture, my sitting, my standing, my hearing, my view on the computer, my friend, my body, and so on. So this is why the asava of ditthi is so very deeply rooted and unknown. So at least there's a beginning to consider, beginning to realize how much wrong understanding there is, and how much ignorance in a day, and how little understanding. And it doesn't matter how many words or terms we know, or what language we use, or how long we've studied the Dhamma. The understanding has to understand, and it's just this moment now, no matter in Thailand or Australia or Vietnam, it's just seeing now, just hardness now. So as it says in the sutta, the learner, the seeker, understands hardness as hardness, no more misunderstanding, but a long way for understanding to develop. It's not my understanding. It's not my path. It's not my ignorance. They're just dhammas.
Okay. One more point. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's is it right if I think that is myself, is oneself? You mean at the beginning, like I'm hearing, I'm touching, which is in the past. I never known about this before, but nowadays, I'm beginning to learn a little bit that, oh, this is myself, that understanding the word is it correct to learn to know that there's a self, there's oneself? Is it correct?
It's correct to know that there's the wrong idea that there is a self, that there is it's correct that there is the idea that I'm hearing, I'm seeing, I'm thinking, and it's correct to know that this is all the wrong idea of I all the time. Okay. So that is correct. It's not correct that there really is an I that sees and hears, but it's correct to know that there is that idea, that wrong idea, all the time.
Thank you. เข้าใจค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you very much ค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ
Just going back to your earlier comments, Kun Supason, about when the hands touch, there's hardness, and when the vibration of the fan behind me, and so on and so forth. I'm just wondering if there's the idea that by thinking about the present situation in terms of realities, that this is a condition for a better understanding of realities. No, I don't think that's the case. I think this is just a subtle trying to have awareness. And it's not natural to analyze the present moment in terms of what are the realities that are arising at the present moment as a kind of practice, shall we say, because it's not allowing, it's not a condition for the natural arising of awareness by conditions from what one has heard and reflected upon about the Dhamma. It's trying to apply what one has heard to the present moment. So this, I would say, is not a good idea to have.
Okay.
It's not being relaxed. It's trying to work things out.
Again.
Because you see the tendency is there, and it will find a way of expressing itself, because but gradually over time, as one listens more and considers more, then one comes to realize, as Azita has said, that one doesn't have to worry about whether there could be more understanding at the present moment if there was more attention being paid to the present moment in terms of what realities might be arising. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Intl.Dhamma.
And John, it seems to me that this problem is peculiar to people who have heard the Dhamma. It's like people who have not heard the Dhamma would not start analyzing, trying to work things out, and trying to think in terms of different Dhammas with the idea of
Well,
self.
I think Kunsapatson was saying or implying earlier that before she heard the Dhamma, she didn't have the idea of it's I who am looking or thinking. Now she's heard the Dhamma, she has the idea that it's I who am. So that bears out your point, doesn't it? That yes.
Yeah, I think it's good to know that just hearing Dhamma and for a few years, many years, is not going to change that tendency to make it think in terms of a self. And so yeah, it's a long way to go.
Right, for all of us. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Haji. Yeah, just something I might say on that. There's one particular.
That's Sukin, not Haji, Rob.
Oh, is that Sukin? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Sukin,
yeah.
good to hear you.
Yeah.
You're out and about. That's great to know. I didn't know that. Yeah. There's one particular group of people who try to concentrate on the sensations in the body. And they think when they're doing that, that is what they would call satipatthana and vipassana. But of course, anyone can concentrate on the body and feel sensations or feel vibrations or whatever is there in the present moment, but that's no indication at all of any satipatthana. So it's just reinforcing what Jonathan said there. Thank you.
Yes, it's just what we were saying about the postures. People read the Satipatthana Sutta and read about postures and think they need to focus on postures, or there's something to be said about understanding the body, but it's just the same with the sensations. Everything is mixed up and taken for something, taken for a body, taken for me, taken for mine, because, like it says in the sutta, no understanding of the dhammas, of the realities themselves. So whatever we read, whatever we try to work out, whatever is analyzed is all mixed up and confused. Yes, I'm also very glad to hear you, Sukin. Glad you can join, and you sound so good in voice and with such confidence in the value of the teachings. So we appreciate this anytime, any situation.
I'm sorry, Sarah, I would like to add to this discussion in terms of I usually hear people who do meditation that they have seen light. So they carry on to focus on that light that they've seen. But then the other day in the discussion, Tanajan was asking, and does the mind door dark or light? So then again, it had me thinking, is that just Sanya that remembers, marks and remember through the sense door? And then they've seen the light, which is just a Sanya when doing meditation through the mind door.
So again, everything is mixed up, because in truth, at which moment in life is light seen? Actually, only at a moment of seeing is what is seen, visible object light.
Yes.
At every other moment, like in all the mind door activities, no light appears at all. So it's just thinking, dreaming about light. Actually, no light is appearing. So, and why would they like to see light? Why are they trying to follow light? So it's just a fantasy about light. It's not actually understanding what is visible now, just dreaming about light. And of course, it's because as an object of samatha, light is an object of samatha. So without right understanding at the degree of calmness, there's focusing on light, but it's not the understanding with calm about light, the characteristic of light, because we find what is seen, the visible object, so important. What is seen? People fight, people gear their lives around what is seen. We find it very important, but actually it's just color, it's just light for a moment and then gone, of no significance at all. So reflecting wisely about what hardness is now or what light is now can be a condition for calm, but only if there's right understanding about it. Otherwise, it's just clinging and trying to focus on light in ignorance.
I see.
Concentrating with attachment, but not actually understanding anything about what light is. So when Ajahn was emphasizing, as you mentioned, that in the mind door, there's no light, it just shows that now it seems the world is light all the time, but actually it's just for a moment. And then all the moments of thinking, no light appearing at all. The world is dark, but it shows how much ignorance there is, how little understanding there is.
Thank you.
Nina, just a question for you. What do you think would be the significance of being in meditation, seeing light while in meditation?
I think, as Sarah mentioned, is the object of concentration.
And so, what is the significance?
But through my understanding, I just it's as I understood that it's not it's visible, and as I mentioned, it's Sanya that marks and remember that lights has this, that's his characteristic, and then it happens in the mind or the thinking of what light is.
Right. Yeah. It could be kusala, it could be akusala. If it's kusala, it would be kusala of the level of samatha. Mm-hmm. Nothing to do with the understanding of the nature of realities appearing at the present moment.
See?
Yeah, so that's the important point to understand. And that is not a condition for the development of understanding and of the insight kind either. The understanding that goes with the development of samatha and the understanding that goes with the development of insight have different objects and are of different degrees. So the the understanding of samatha is not a precondition for the development of insight.
I see, but usually they would not explain this as a basic. They would just give you something, an object to, like we say, just stare at and try to concentrate, try to
That's
calm.
right. In that situation, it's not even kusala, because
Yes.
concentration itself is not a kusala factor.
Yeah.
So why would taking, say, light as an object of meditation, why would that be kusala?
Why would that be kusala?
Yeah.
If the concentration is the right, happens together with the right understanding, then yes.
Well, yes, but what is the right understanding at the time of taking light as an object of meditation? What could be right understanding?
What could be right understanding is to concentrate on the right path, meaning what I've been understanding, that when you have the right concentration, you would have the ability to realize the reality. It's a foundation, a condition to have satipatthana later.
So what we understand is that when there is awareness and understanding of some aspect of a reality at any level, for example, at the intellectual level or direct understanding, then the concentration which accompanies that, because there is concentration as a mental factor with every moment of consciousness, the concentration that accompanies that is the right concentration. But the right concentration cannot be developed separately from moments of actual awareness and understanding.
I see.
So the concentration that's developed in samatha, the concentration that's developed in samatha, even though if it's, let's assume it's kusala, does not form a support or basis for the concentration that accompanies moments of awareness and understanding.
I see.
Yeah. Because they're different streams or paths, as it were. Yeah. But even taking light, say going to a retreat or whatever, and taking light as an object of contemplation or meditation in that session, that is not of itself going to be kusala, because what kind of kusala is it unless one has the idea that if light is the object, then and there's concentration, then it must be kusala. But that's not the situation at all. The kusala has to come first, and the citta has to be kusala before the concentration can be kusala. It's not that kusala concentration can be developed as a factor of itself. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you, Sarah.
And I'm sure John would like to have more questions to ask you or points to discuss too.
Thank you.
In in the Satipatthana Sutta, there's several different passages that say that defilements like lopa, for example, can be object of awareness. So it's not exactly true that we need to be concentrated with kusala, and that will be the condition for understanding to arise. People think that, and then that pushes them away from the present moment, actually, because they don't want to have lopa, they don't want to have dosa, they don't want to have doubt. But these are just realities, conditioned realities, and they can be understood when they are present. And I think once we see that, it makes life a lot easier. because we're not trying to manage things. We just are aware of whatever is present if awareness is conditioned to arise.
Yes,
Can I ask something?
Hi.
Because Jonathan, you said the chitta has to be kusala for the concentration to be kusala.
Yes,
Is that the
Carmen.
order? Is that the order? Is it the
well
which
there,
one? Yeah.
So the concentration is a mental factor that arises with each citta.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the contact mental factor and the manasikara mental factor. They take the ethical quality of the citta. So if the citta is kusala, then the concentration is kusala. If the citta is akusala, then the concentration is akusala.
But can you say that because that's what I was wondering, because is the cetasikas, are they determining the citta, or is the citta determining, I don't know how to say.
Good question. Because
you said now
the
that
ones that are roots determine the quality of the citta. You've heard of the roots. The cetasikas that are roots determine the quality of the citta. So that's loba, dosa, moha, or aloba, adosa, amoha.
Okay.
And
so you cannot say
cetasikas,
basically what you were saying, that a citta has to be kusala, so the concentration, that's not entirely correct, because is that correct what I'm, because I started doubting when you said it that way.
Is it not correct?
Because it's not a citta. It's such a tiny moment what we are trying to figure out, because the roots are determining, I don't know how to say it, determining the
quality of the citta.
Exactly, and that is determining
arise at the same moment as the concentration.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, good.
The
Thank you.
cetasikas and the citta, they condition each other
in the moment. Yeah.
In the moment. So when he said if the citta is not kusala, the concentration is not kusala, it means that in a moment, the concentration at this moment cannot be kusala. If the citta and other cetasika is not kusala, it doesn't mean that the cetasikas don't condition the citta. Actually, the citta itself is not kusala or akusala.
It's neutral.
But it's conditioned by the cetasikas that arise with it together at the same moment. So it is just concentrating on an object like light. If it's unwholesome concentration, if there's no kusala factors, then it cannot be kusala. And like Robert said, any object can be the object of understanding, unwholesome concentration, loba, anything else, but only if there is understanding of it as a Dhamma. Otherwise, the unwholesome concentration will never appear, will never be known if there's no understanding.
So it comes back to the point that concentrating on something, whatever it is, per se, is not kusala. There's nothing kusala about being concentrated on a single object. It's only kusala when it accompanies a citta that is kusala for some other reason than the concentration. In the case of samatha, which is popularly thought to be development of concentrating on an object such as light, for example, it's really the kusala can come in if there is the correct contemplation of the subject. So whether the subject is earth or light or any of the other 38 or whatever the number is, the development there comes from correctly contemplating the object, not from concentrating on the object. And it's the kusala contemplation of the subject matter which brings the development of the concentration at higher levels, but not at the beginning. This is another mistake people, a misunderstood aspect of samatha, because at the higher levels, concentration becomes predominant. People think that it begins with concentration, but that's not so. It begins with moments of kusala, mundane kusala, any kind of kusala.
And particularly understanding, it has to begin with understanding of the object and how it can condition calm, not just focusing on the object.
Yeah, because contemplating is not one moment. It's really, so it's actually,
correct.
So actually what Sarah is saying, it's understanding in that moment. Panya arises with, so because how my mind goes when
right.
You cannot contemplate
for
and
example,
focus, right?
Death is a subject of contemplation that supports the development of samatha. So what does it mean if it's not contemplating the fragility of life and so forth? And so it can't be just a single moment of concentration. And you can't concentrate on death as such, can you? You can only think about the concept of death.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the same for all those subjects of samatha development. And it says so in the Visuddhimagga, which I'll try and find the passage and quote it sometime.
But it all comes back to the understanding at the very beginning of what calm is and why is contemplation of an object such as death now conditions calm, not by trying, but just naturally. Like sometimes we think of death and there's fear instantly, but sometimes there's reflecting on death, and like someone said at the beginning of the session, it can be now, can be a condition for wise consideration of what's really important in life. So it can be a condition for calm. So it comes down to the consideration and the understanding about how the object conditions calm. Just focusing on light is of no value at all. It just leads to more and more attachment. Nina said, as we're beginning to run out of time, let's see if Ajahn would like to add comments on any of these topics. Ajahn?
Yes, I think that the point of listening to the truth is to understand the nature of it, stage by stage. For example, that's one want to have satipatthana, or just having more understanding of the truth. Otherwise, we just think about satipatthana. But what about now? What is satipatthana object now? Otherwise, it's just about Vedana, Kaya, Chitta, and so on. But what is now as the object of right understanding stage by stage? And Satipatthana is the second round. And not just talking about whether it is Vipassana or development of understanding, but what is there now to be known from hearing, considering, letting go ignorance or wrong understanding about the truth of that, little by little, until it develop on and on and on, stage by stage, to understand the truth. So we learn now that we are talking about what is there appearing, which can be Satipatthana, object of Satipatthana, but is there enough understanding of the truth of it? Because Satipatthana is the higher understanding of what is there. So it has to begin now. What is there? But not just asking, but from hearing and considering on and on and on until it's their moment of condition to be aware or to attain to the characteristic with awareness, understanding little by little naturally. Otherwise, otherwise it cannot develop at all. And the development of understanding is just letting go, the moment of forgetting about the truth of what is there. Most of the time, that's why we discuss on the truth of what is there. And that right understanding develops to be a moment of being aware of the truth with right understanding and direct awareness of just that which is experienced without any understanding before. Just learn to know when we talk about Satipatthana, is it now Satipatthana or not yet? Without understanding more and more, can there be moment of understanding the truth directly of just one object at a time right now? Uncontrollable, nothingness, no one knows at all. The moment of understanding of that reality can arise by conditions to the degree that it begin to understand the truth. No doubt about the moment of Satipatthana, but there must be the understanding from the very beginning. So no expecting at all. At what moment it would be the moment of understanding of that reality which is now appearing, unknown before. What would be the object of sati? But we learn about everything as it is to be known when sati is there. Because there is seeing from birth up to now, and we talk about it because it has to be known. So no expectation at all. When will it be known? It depends on understanding and conditions for sati to arise, because it's time for conditions ready to arise with to be aware with understanding. So now, is it awareness with understanding of what is there? So we learn a little more about the object of awareness, and not only the object, the understanding of that object as it is, as no one, and it cannot be taken for anything at all. So now, the proof is that there's touching. Is it known? Not yet. But when it's time, who knows? Just no particular place at all. It's there, just aware with a little understanding that it's that should be known. Hardness should be known. Seeing should be known. Whatever is now should be known because it's there. What is not there cannot be known at all. That's why each word about the truth, understanding what is there now, is the only way to have the anatta of that which is there instantly from moment to moment. No selection, no choice. See, that's why the nature of anatta has to be known little by little, little by little. Even now, seeing is anatta. No one can control. It's there all the time. It seems like it does not arise and falls away, but in truth, it has to arise. As soon as it has risen, it falls away instantly. Why do we talk about this all the time? To let go the idea of just want to have it as the object of understanding. or Satipatthana. The only way of the development of right understanding is moment of letting go of clinging, attachment, and to that with ignorance, no understanding that it's not there anymore. Each moment, but it's not realized yet. The truth is there. So the moment of understanding of what is there, little by little, is the only way to let go what is there, as it seems to be something, someone, all day, all life, all the time. So it's not the object of just want to have it, but understanding it little by little. So the development of right understanding has to be the 3 rounds of the Four Noble Truths. Why of the Noble Truth? Satya Dhamma. What is there is real, and the truth of it that seeing is seeing. Satya Dhamma. The moment when it's known or realized stage by stage until Ariya Satya Dhamma. No doubt about what has been studied, no doubt about it's so true, but it's not yet appear as it is until when it's ready. No one can stop the moment of realization at all by condition. So anatta, that's why the only way to let go the world of atta is to understand the anattness. All dhammas are anatta. Who knows what will be next? That's why next hasn't come yet. So just understand that which is conditioned and it has a reason right now. Is that true? And this is letting go each moment of understanding the truth. It's subtle, very subtle. Letting go of the idea of something until when it's the 3rd round, it appears as it is. Just the word, as it is. Only one reality. Otherwise, when they are together, can it be known? Which one is known when they are all together? But only one means that the understanding of that one is clearer and clearer on and on and on and on and on to be different stages of vipassana jhana. So jhana is right understanding. And Ariya Satya Dhamma, the first round, is Satya jhana, the panya which understands the truth, the ultimate truth. So it performs its function when what is there appearing. Citta jhana, the second round, Satipatthana, begin to perform the function of understanding the truth gradually, little by little. The moment of the beginning of awareness, the object is not clearly known. So how long will it be moments of understanding instantly what is there as it is, even it's not as clear as the 3rd round. But without the 2nd round, panya performs its function, understanding by condition what is there. Anatta, panya is not anyone. It's there at moment of it understand what is there. Hardness, see? Just a moment. Can it be someone or something? Not at all. Until the 3rd round, no doubt about what it means. It does not appear as it is to ignorance and attachment, but it can appear to only right understanding, which is keen enough by studying, learning, being aware, and the understanding develop on and on until instantly anatta, the moment of realizing the truth, stage by stage. No one there at all from the very beginning, each moment in life. When this life is so true, the other life is true as it is, but only understanding can understand it. So all depends on understanding, not just about concentration or the Cetasika, which we learn to know what are there at each moment of right understanding developing, but it has to be known one by one as the object. So hearing about one by one is the moment of sati at level of pati. Pati is particularly, and pati is attained or reached that quality only one at a time. Only that particular one by conditions. So who can expect its moment of now attend to the characteristic of seeing? See, not just seeing sees, but the reality which sees is not the object which is seen at all. So only understanding develop on and on. There can be right understanding of the truth, stage by stage. So Panya is so true, so truthful to the truth. True to the truth right now. How much understanding of what is there. Because only that which is there can be known. The moment of realization is what is there. Because it hasn't happened yet. So who knows? Could Sariputta know what object is there to be realized? No one knows. But right understanding develops on and on each moment, unknowingly holding the handler's knife. How many moments are there? How much is worn away? Unknown until it's there appearing. It's not as usual. Right understand that from hearing again, considering again, until it gets closer and closer and closer to that which is so close by conditions, anatta. So it is the way of anatta, not anyone's way at all. Not anyone can try to understand, try it by the idea of self, impossible. But the understanding of each characteristic, of each reality by conditions. Seeing has to be realized. See, is it beginning to attain to the reality which has no shape and form, but it now experiences what is that which appear, hardness appear. What about that which experiences it? Otherwise it cannot appear. Different reality. So the nama, rupa, parichetayana, see, at level of jhana, vipassana jhana. Not now we learn that nama is not the rupa. The rupa cannot experience anything, and only nama experiences the object. But there are so many different ones. So learn to understand that which appears today, little by little. So now, what nama today, even right now, if it's not yet understood, how can it be object of awareness the second round? To realize it as it is, only one at a time, and it has to be through minder. Because all the six doorways, only one doorway is light and sin. the other way, in darkness. So how great Panya is, and it has to be that in darkness, which understand whatever is there in darkness, when it's not the Jakwinyana or the seeing this idol processes. See how short it is, because the mind door is in between each sense or process. So in truth, living in darkness, but the light covers up the truth. Thinking, no light. Hearing, no light. See, that's why I learn to understand that the truth, the word of truth, is not now, because it depends on understanding only, which can find a way to realize what is there in darkness in Manodawara. Just in a moment, everything in a moment. So short, so quick, completely gone, never to arise again. Begin to understand the truth, not try to get out the circle of birth and death without any understanding at all. Just the self tries so hard to have it. That's why Buddha taught for 45 years. If it's so simple, if it can be done, not necessary to teach for 45 years. And any moment there can be understanding depending on conditions, hearing, considering, understanding. And understanding is the best reality among all kinds of realities, because it understands. So each word of truth taught by the Buddha, not just not to follow, but to understand the truth, which is so very subtle. And the path is so very subtle, because it is each moment of understanding only, developed from the first stage, Pariyatti, to Patipatti, to Pativeta, all are by understanding. Develop when it's there, arising each moment. Otherwise, how can right understanding develop? Just listen, and who knows? The more listening, the more understanding, even if so slight, so very little, it's the only way. Before the accumulation of ignorance and attachment from life to life, years and years ago, so very deep, so very thick, so very subtle, can be eliminated. Each moment unknown, so very gradual, so very subtle. Now, it's now. Otherwise, without understanding right now, how can it develop to understand a little more? Holding the knife handle, and what and when and where is the knife's handle? Not as very little or very small. If it's something like material, nothing can hold it. So enormous. No matter how many universes, it's not able to keep the akusala or ignorance. Not enough place, not any container can contain the enormous ignorance. And it's there right now, see? It's there right now. So Buddha taught about each different levels of akusala. It's there real. It's there unknown. Like asava, see? It does mean that it's not there. Just talk about it, different level. But different level is at this moment or any moment of no understanding. Very slightly. For example, there is seeing, no understanding of that which is seen as it is, as not one, is only that which impinge on the eye base. So very tiny, see? The eye base and that which impinge on it, and a moment of seeing. The aswa is there, not understanding seeing. So it's me or it's I who see. Someone tried to look for aswa to be known. It's there, so slightly, very slight, but it's there. Otherwise, when and where is aswa? See, that's why each word is so true. Anusaya is there, accumulated. Each moment of any kind of aswa and anusaya, avijja, see, moha, lobha, dosa, anusaya, accumulated, not lost, not anyone lost at all. It's there. How long? How long? Long time ago, until now. So no way to get it, to get rid of it, or for it to wear away. Only right understanding, stage by stage, so very keen, very firm, as Satchayana, for intellectual understanding about it. Satchayana, that second round is not the first round, and the third round is not the second round of experienced Ariya Satya. And this is the moment when it's gradually wear away. How much, no one knows, until it's an instantly different level of understanding, until moment of vipassana. And the word is so very simple. Nama, rupa, we know that. But when it's there, no doubt about nama and rupa at that very moment, unknowingly, unexpectedly, anattana, instantly. Even right now, it's just like that. But avijja cannot understand it at all. But the moment when panya is there, it begins to understand each different reality which is there that can be known. Just live in the world of atta so long, long ago, and what is there appearing in life, no matter this world or any world, only 6 doorways.
Thank you, Ajahn. So helpful as always. And we wish you a good trip, and we'll see you next week. And everyone, see you next week.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ท่านอาจารย์
กราบเท้า
Thank
บูชาคุณ
you,
ท่านอาจาร
Sarah,
ย์ค่ะ
everyone.
อนุโมทนากับคุณเซราคุณจอห์น
สวัสดีท่านอาจารย์
บ๊ายบาย
Travels. สวัสดีค่ะ